You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
Relentless search for luxury, in search of peace and happiness, the human mind wouldn't rest. A constant nag within we soul, demanding respect from the world. We get the urge in different form, but luxury is the norm. Money is very essential, but can't buy peace of mind at all. We still like dogs without a bone, if we have the money alone. Because appreciation plays on the human mind. Everyone needs some for happiness all the time. Because importance, if we are drive to live, everyone's on the hunt. Every man ought to give generously. The feeling has no barrier. Race and class doesn't matter. Once you are alive, you in the game. You do anything to get a good name. Some wealthy men turn to suicide. Can't find food to feed their pride. The aged and crippled in the ring, fight to be like a king. Children become delinquent for lack of love from their parents. That's why appreciation is most important to man. Appreciation plays on the human mind. Everyone needs some for happiness all the time. Because important, if we are drive to live, everyone's on the hunt. Every man ought to give generously. Solution to bad industrial relations. Employees will gladly draw their pay and do the job half the way. When workman feeling unwanted, the working spirit is daunted. He comes on the job and fool around, production going down. Just make him feel significant. You get him do anything you want. A pat on the back is the best move for relations to improve. Because appreciation is on the human mind. Everyone needs some for happiness all the time. because important. If we are drive to live, everyone's on the hunt. Every man ought to give generously. Our deepest craving is common. All we need is attention to put us in the happy zone, regardless of what we own. Life is lonely without it. Each one should give a little bit. What you want your neighbors do, then life on earth will be true. Take a tip from the scripture. Appreciate one another. Share your love and make the mold for total peace in the world. Based on the human mind, everyone needs some for happiness all the time. Because important, if we are trying to live, everyone's on the hunt. Every man ought to give generously.
Get up one morning, your elders have something. You don't know how they get it, but you want to use it. But if you ask them old people to get the things what they went through, ask them this any day, and your parents sure to say, black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind, brother, that you're able to get a pulley and jam with the devil. Why? Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind, brother, that you're ready to swim offshore and hold your boat steady. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you're here, you get a little something. With that dragon eye, you keep watching, because I don't tell you already. Black man don't get nothing easy. You get up one morning, and oil money running. How it come you don't know, so they did care how the thing go. But if they read about Uriah, they wanna find out the pressure. How we get so much old hell to get a penny from TLL. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to take up your own cash money, pay people for your own refinery. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind to be a magician, to make money out of scrap iron. Black man have to keep on jamming, but black man to get a little something. So when you hear you get a little something, with that eagle eye you keep watching, because I don't tell you already, black man don't get nothing easy. Say we got up one morning, independence happening, getting the thing come easy. Now they're taking liberty, but if they know about petition, we are to send to England for some woman to tell we in this colony free. Black man have to keep on jabbing, but black man to get a little something. You got to go to conference in England to get independence in your own land. Black man have to keep on jamming, but black man to get a little something. People hold you, humiliate you, turn on and sell you, and then they free you. Black man have to keep on jamming, but black man to get a little something. So when you hear you get a little something, with that dragon eye you keep watching, because I don't tell you already, black man don't get nothing easy. So when a black man gets something, he got to start thinking to get it there easy. He got to practice economy, from getting licks from the slave master to become the land owner. Brother, it's a terrible journey, packed with plenty brutality. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to rise up, you got to stand up, pick up your mind, you will always stay on top. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to go to conference in England to get independence in your own land. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. You got to take up your own cash money, pay people for your own refinery. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. Make up your mind to be a magician, to make money out of scrap iron. Black man have to keep on jamming.
Keep me as the apple of thine eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wing. O Lord, my Savior. It's so hard to deal with personal struggle. So sad when you feel alone in your trouble. It's real hard when you want to talk to a brother. It's so bad because of how some look at you after. So Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover my head. Satan want me dead. Cover my back from human attack. So Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. People see you smile, but don't know the hurt that you're feeling. Even as God's child, at times your heart does be bleeding. Where can you go when you're really looking for healing? Who know how to flow when your soul needs some restoring? So Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me home from evils unknown. Cover my feet so I'll never retreat. Oh Lord, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover my brother. minister, them who under pressure. Cover the preacher, every church worker, the young believer. Cover the worship leader and intercessor, every gospel minister. Cover. Jesus alone is the one who has the real answer. The one on the throne is the true and loving Father. He will hold your hand and keep you from going under. He will make you stand and let you know he's a fixer. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it, Jesus. Cover me while you fix it, Jesus. Cover me. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it, Jesus. Cover me while you fix it, Jesus. Cover me. Cover me, man. You know the struggle sometimes. Cover me mouth, that the wrong thing wouldn't come out. Oh Lord, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it, Jesus. Cover me. Cover the Christian in the midst of aggression with the power of your right hand. Jesus, cover them helpless children. Jesus, defend them. Send help from heaven. Jesus, cover all them radio stations that blessing the nation. Grant divine protection. Jesus, cover me.
Truer words were never spoken. The less you associate with some people, the more your life will improve. Anytime you tolerate mediocrity in others, it increases your mediocrity. An important attribute in successful people is their impatience with negative thinking and negative acting people. As you grow, your associates will change. Some of your friends will not want you to go on. They will want you to stay where they are. Friends that don't help you climb will want you to crawl. Your friends will stretch your vision or choke your dream. Those that don't increase you will eventually decrease you. Consider this. Never receive counsel from unproductive people. Never discuss your problems with someone incapable of contributing to the solution, because those who never succeed themselves are always first to tell you how. Not everyone has a right to speak into your life. You are certain to get the worst of the bargain when you exchange ideas with the wrong person. Don't follow anyone who's not going anywhere. With some people you spend an evening. With others, you invest it. Be careful where you stop to inquire for directions along the road of life. Wise is the person who fortifies his life with the right friendships. If you run with wolves, you will learn how to howl. But if you associate with eagles, you will learn how to soar to great heights. A mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kind of friends he chooses. The simple but true fact of life is that you become like those with whom you closely associate, for the good and the bad. Note, be not mistaken. This is applicable to family as well as friends. Yes, do love, appreciate, and be thankful for your family, for they will always be your family, no matter what. Just know that they are human first, and though they are family to you, they may be a friend to someone else and will fit somewhere in the criteria above. In prosperity, our friends know us. In adversity, we know our friends. Never make someone a priority when you are only an option for them. If you are going to achieve excellence in big things, you develop the habit in little matters. Excellence is not an exception. It is a prevailing attitude.
Let me say a special hello to all the WZYE 95.9 95.9 FM listeners. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it's in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And of course, you know it, you hear it. We come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, from 7 to 10 p.m. And as you know very well, ladies and gentlemen, very well, the DAT Triplets is Diana, who is considered to be the storm. And of course, yours truly, Anselm LeBon. Some people call me Wall Street. Some people call me Slim. Some people call me Butty. But don't call my mother. And of course, it doesn't matter what color t-shirt you have on. You have on a burgundy t-shirt, a pink t-shirt, a salmon t-shirt, a light blue t-shirt, a mauve t-shirt. Each and every one is welcome in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter what planet you're from. You're from Mazatanius, Xenoranius, Sonaranius. Doesn't matter what planet you're from. Each and every one is welcome in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And what I want to say that we had something that happened last week, and I thought it was so good. And a few of my relatives told me that you have to do something with that. So, folks, we are going to introduce as part of the program that poem from Rennie last program. And I kind of put it in a voiceover, but I hope Rennie don't get upset with me. I want to use Rennie's voice. But here it is, ladies and gentlemen.
It have our place, WZYE, where they treat you like friends and family. So if you're looking for a place to belong, going WZYE, you could come along. If you have haste, don't come with me. We do have DAT on WZYE, Santa Manate.
You have it, folks. There you have it. Live on direct. Rennie, Dr. Love, you Dr. Let me bring in no other than the one and only one, the man from Palaseco, by way of Marabella, by way of Sally Bay, by way of Salibia, passing through Piaco to get to Palaseco, having to leave 5:30 a.m. in the morning to go to school all the way down in Palaseco. He also went to school with a famous local journalist, no other than Andy Johnson, the one and only, the man himself, Thomas E. Marshall, the commissioner in Newark, Nisbet.
All right, well, I've got to help you arrange that into some kind of rhyme, so it flows. I think
we got to send the lyrics to Rennie, and when you go piece it together, or we like send it to Diana. Right?
Diana is the expert in the crew.
All right, what we go do? We go send one to Diana, we go send one to Rennie, and we go we go see what the story ends up.
Listen, and I like to suggest that we have Diana do something for us also.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
it's that, and I'm sure it's gonna rival what Rennie does.
Yeah, but she gotta come good enough. I feel so. She gotta come good though. But she up to the task. She up to the task.
She's a resident poet, and
Yeah.
We can't slight her.
Nah. We ain't doing that at all. We ain't doing that. But you know what I mean? She could do her thing, of course, right? But I mean, you know, I find that he come real good there, so we could game his pips, so to speak. You know, and
the person who did the voiceover didn't get the last part of it to flow.
No, that was me though. That's how I put it in. It stopped a little bit, but I go do it over. I just wanted to start it now.
All right,
you know
that's a start.
Yeah. You know, the important thing is to start. And Tony, as you say, starter, I have an editorial tonight. Respect with that building behind me there. You see it?
Si, senor.
Tommy, I want all them black PNM people. I'm not saying it. No, you know what? I'll go get to that. I'll go get to the editorial. For them black PNM people who have no testicular fortitude. They're like a Christmas tree in the forest. They have no balls. And I'm afraid to say, let me repeat that. If as Dr. Chaos does, if you went to the fridge to pick up a rare shandy and they didn't hear what I say, there are many of them, not all of them, there are many of the black PNM people. I'm specifically talking about the black PNM people that have no testicular fortitude. They're like a Christmas tree in the forest. In the forest, they're balls less. Right? And that building in the back there, or let's see it in the back there, that building in the back there, you see how they're doing it? That was because of yours truly. Right? And I've taken full credit for it. Full credit. Because you know what, Tommy? Anyway, let me get to the chat before sweetheart, bring the have a glass in there with some it's kind of light, it's clear. Not the dark one, bring the clear one for me. I want the clear one. I need to drink the clear one tonight for this editorial. Don't bring the dark one. No, not the brown one. No. Throw the red one. Throw that one away. The passion fruit? No, put that in the freezer so it could freeze. Let that one freeze. Put it in the freezer. Yeah, that one. All right, good.
But what you gonna do? What you gonna do when passion is frozen? Frozen passion isn't good. Passion has to stay warm. Frozen passion is not good.
Well, you get the point then. you make the point.
All right. Okay.
I just put it in the freezer. You said that's what you said. You know what I mean? I didn't say anything else. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I have an editorial about that building in the back there. Well, let's see it.
Yep.
Right? As a matter of fact, I'm gonna show it without the without Tommy and I in the picture. Because we go get to that tonight. We get into that tonight. Oh, let's see it there? Right? Oh, let's see it now, right? All right, we go get to that. We go get to that for all them black PNM people. Them black PNM people who was criticizing this little black boy that lived in the building right across from that one. That building 2. I lived in building 1 right up the street. Right up the street.
But right on the other side, we have some vehicles submerged in water. What's with that?
No, there ain't no water. There's a embankment right there.
Okay, let me put on my spectacles then.
Yeah. There's an embankment.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, there's a fence going across, like, you know what I mean? In the middle there, Tommy, we used to play cricket. The road, you see that road there? The road at the top, that's the road at the top there. And then the car at the bottom is at the bottom. It's a little bank, you had to jump down.
All right.
So it looked like if it's water, but you had to jump down now.
All right.
Yeah. So we go talk about that in a little bit, right? Let me go to the chat.
Yeah. We had a little equipment malfunction there from the village sweetheart. So she wrote what she was giving to us in the village, which was red hearts. And eventually she got her daughter's phone, and with her daughter's phone, she was able to correspond a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you recognize that Visha's phone was used eventually, but she says she's having phone troubles. I guess
I realize that. I see it. I see all the
Nadia, with that encouragement you gave me when I win the lotto, which is going to be very soon, I'm going to make sure I buy you a good phone. All right?
Yeah, she have the red hearts and the different hearts and thing. Yeah. She says good night, everyone. Yeah. She says some good night, Tommy, Diana, Benskin.
Mm-hmm.
Good night to Keisha, Judy, Lana, Rose, Denise G, Capiza, Miss Coover. And then she used her daughter's phone.
Mm-hmm.
My phone giving trouble. I'm right. Yeah, Tommy got that. Yeah, Visha, good night to you. And of course, Dr. Love was next in the village. Good night, village family. Love in the house. Great love is all I bring. Dr. Love. Yeah. And Dr. Love jumped back in again. Respect to the panel, Mr. Walls, Lady D, Mr. Tommy. And then in between, Keisha jumped in.
Here comes
How
Kish.
are you? Good night, everyone. Good night to you, Anselm, Tommy, Diana. Yeah, to Keisha right there. Nadia, Rose, Lana, Erica. Look, my true Kenyan friend. Hey, Curtis, you see the building in the back there? That is building 2. That is right up from all your building. Right? So you could have stayed in all your apartment and look in the back of that building there. What are renovating now? You see it? That building 2 it burned down in 2011. That is when Dr. Rowley was walking up there in 2011. And they only find the time to start doing that building about after 8 years later. I think they started last year or this year, boy. Whichever time. 7 to 8 years later, due to me, they now start to renovate the building.
You feel it's because Christmas coming next month?
August the 14th?
You feel it's because of Christmas?
But you know what? To be honest with you, Tommy, in this situation, I really don't care. Here's why I don't care. No, seriously, I don't care. Because the mental health of the people in the community that I grew up in has improved drastically over the last few months that they started to renovate that building. The people don't look at that abandoned building no more. They look at that abandoned building from 2011 to 2022. 12 years. 12 years they look at that abandoned building. We go get back to that. I'm editorial tonight. So those black people in the PNM. So Keisha says, Albert, Ulrich, Ken, Rennie, Vonnie, Ellis, Hailey, Rajvi. Yeah, welcome. So Keisha says, only love in the village. No room for hate or negativity, just love. Yeah, all we want is love. That's all we're interested in. Trinidad Margot says, good night. Albert Montano, welcome. Hi to Keisha, I'm out of town by my daughter, 135 kilometers away from Toronto. All right. Man talking in kilos now, instead of miles,
Hey.
You know what I mean?
It's only we in America stuck in the past,
Oh, okay. Weenie Pass? Okay,
yeah.
all right. Yeah, all right. See, guys, to Keisha, Wasaga Beach, where she lives, it's a cottage area. All right, Albert. All right, big time Albert Montano. Don't me wipe your face, yes?
Where's the storm? Where's my storm?
And she coming, man. Good evening, Ansem and Diana and Tommy. Yeah. Good evening to you, Albert. Let me see. So, folks, don't forget we have the guest tonight, Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath, political scientist, right? And he's going to tell us about what happened there with Dr. Chaos. I'm out of town up north, 135 kilometers from Mississauga. So 10K is 6 miles. So that is about 5 6 is at 30. That is 50. 30 and 30 is 60. That's 60 miles. 60 miles. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. 50 and 50 is 100 kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
That is 60 miles. Right? Because 10K is 6 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So 100K will go to 60 miles.
100K is 60 miles. So another 35K will be 10, 20, 30. That is 18 miles for 30 kilometers. Right? So that's 118 plus 5 kilometers, about 121 miles. Right? Around there.
No. Yeah?
Yeah. Give or take.
How many kilometers total?
10. 135. 10 kilometers in one.
You
10
sure it's not about? You sure it's not about 78 miles?
No, this is how I do it. 10K, a 10-kilometer run is 6.2 miles.
Right.
So I just say a 10K, like if it's 50 kilometers, that's 5 times 6.
Okay,
6.2
so
miles.
100 kilometers is going to be 62 miles.
About that, right. And then
Right.
35, yeah.
Half of 100 is 50.
But you're doing it the hard way, man.
No, I trying to do it logically as I can.
But listen to this. If you take 30 kilometers, that is 18.6 miles. Right? Because at 10K is 6.2 miles.
So
Because
18, so 18 plus 62 is how much?
18 plus 62,
Yeah.
that is 62 and 10 is 72, 80.
Well, that's how many miles it is.
Hold on. All right. How much miles is 135 kilometers? That's easy. Let me get the right thing. How much miles is 135 kilometers? How
Roughly 85 miles for the most.
much miles is 135 kilometers? All right, let me see. $83.885 miles.
I was close in between 82 and 85. I said 82 first now, then I said no more than 85.
Right, there we go. So Albert had to drive about, if Albert drive about 50 miles per hour, right? You think that's the speed Albert does drive?
I would look like a spunky senior, you know, so don't underrate him.
Tommy, when I asked that question and you're smoking, man. You're getting a kind of suspicious kind of smile.
Yeah, because you're implying that Albert is a slowpoke.
I never implied that. All I said, he possibly drive, maybe the speed limit is 50 miles per hour and man driving the speed limit. What is the speed limit in Canada? I don't know.
65, no?
I don't know.
100 km, which is what?
100K?
100 km, which is 60.
100K is 10, which is 60 point something.
Mm-hmm.
60 point something.
62 miles an hour, roughly.
Yeah, I know idea. Oh God. Albert say, what? With Keith Rowley, the black man getting nothing. What? Albert. Oh God. Oh God. Oh, revelation. What revelation, boy? To get from Rowley, you have to be serious or the one. Oh Lord of mercy. Hey, let me play this here. Hold on. Let me play this, boy. Play that, boy. Hold on.
All opinions and views expressed by the program participants, including those on social media, are solely their opinions and views and do not reflect the opinions and views of WZYE management and staff.
Statement, Albert. Could you clarify that, please? Albert said if Dr. Keith Rowley had any love for people like himself, Laventille Mover and Beetham Gardens would not be in the state it is now. And also Fitzgerald Hines, the MP for Laventille. Albert, I agree with you 500%. I have to agree with you. 500%. If I was the rep for Laventille and Mover and Beetham in 7 years, I could make the area of the same standard as Barteria and Woodbrook. Albert, you're going too fast. 7 years is too long. If it was me, give me about between 3 to 5 years. That is all I needed. 3 to 5 years. Because Tommy, when we look at places like East Orange, some take longer than some, right? Mm-hmm. But when we look at places like East Orange and Newark, boy, I see a building in Orange. I must think that building must have about 500 apartments in it. You know, on 280 right there?
Yeah, I see it on Freeway Drive.
Correct is right. Mm-hmm. That is a massive building, you know, man, and it's right by the train station.
Well, you realize what's going on with most of the construction, that especially with those mega buildings, is close to public transport, because that makes it a lot more marketable.
You are absolutely correct, Tommy. Tommy, you know, it's funny, right? When I lived in Maplewood, we bought a house. We lived on one side of Maplewood, then we bought a house on the other side of Maplewood, right?
Hmm?
And when we lived on the other side of Maplewood, I used to drive to Newark to get in Jersey Transit,
And park.
park train. I used to go down there and park and
Mm-hmm.
far park and get the park train to go into New
New
York.
York. I did that for years, going to New York.
I did that for years. But I
You know,
never,
you know, there was a fateful day. I came back. That evening late. Came back and my vehicle was missing,
well, that wasn't unexpected back then.
stolen.
Yeah, that wasn't unexpected back then. But Tommy, one day, somebody tell me, they say, Anslim, why you don't go and take the train down the road? I said, what train? Told me the train was literally 2 blocks away from my house.
Oh,
3
that's
blocks. 3
so-
blocks. Some days I had to catch I used to have to catch the train about 5:30. I used to leave home 5:25 and just run down the block.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Where you're talking about? That's that station,
Yeah, Maplewood.
Maplewood. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and I live next to the church. So we used to get all our blessings from the church. You know,
Right.
we live obliquely opposite to the church. You understand? And I
That's
used to just
so
jump
you were
out. Huh?
so you were near Valley.
No, Ridgewood Road,
Okay.
St. George's Church, right up the hill.
Okay.
So I just used to jump out the house and hightail it down the road. In 2 minutes, at the train station, I hop on the train. The train took me straight to the World Trade Center, and I walk about 5 minutes to the job, and that was it.
Okay. Ridgewood is going up the hill in the other direction.
Yes, Ridgewood is going up the hill in the opposite direction.
Right. Right.
And you hear how you say it? You hear how you say it? Going up the hill.
That's correct.
Yeah. So Albert Montano said, if the people living in Laventille and moving and Beaton vote for the PNM on the 14th of August, they love what they are getting. Albert, I think the story is a little bigger than that, but we go get into that. Good night, everyone. Good night to you, Nadia.
Good night, Nadia.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, look, Albert using emojis, yes. He said, love Nadia. I'm enjoying up at my daughter's Wasaga Beach Cottage County, boy. I tell you, boy.
Aslam, you take that. You've belittled Albert's ability to use emojis for so long. It's about time he shut you up, right?
But wait now, Tommy. You know, you're correct. It's 3 emojis he used there, you know. He used a heart, a red heart. Then he used one with a beach. Then he used a man with a glasses and a cottage.
Take that, Aslam. You take that
Take that in my perfume, boy.
and cool it.
Yeah. But Albert drive up that, take it time and drive up that 50 miles per hour. You say, I go give you some emoji in your perfume. You know? But say, take that, boy. Take that. Yeah. And Nadia tell him to enjoy yourself too, yes? Yeah, man. Full 100. Victoria, good night. All the way live and direct from Tobago, you know, boy. Victoria, boy.
Welcome.
Victoria's one of our loyal. Victoria go come our Tobago loyalists now, you know. Yeah, we used to have what is the name again? Boy? Remember that fella? Yeah, even Trinidad Margo welcome. Even Trinidad Margo know about Wasaga Beach. Wasaga Beach is a beautiful one of my favorite place in winter and summer, boy. Yeah, boy, good. Albert, boy. I could imagine Albert and we have picture now. Oh God. Yeah, that's a lot of driving. I think Albert have a driver. Albert have a driver, yeah. I know you have a driver. You sit down in the back. You know what I mean? Any Mercedes Benz 500 SEL. You sit down in the back and they have it on cruise control, 50 miles per hour.
I know it's not a self-driving machine.
Yeah, but if you put it on cruise, the people could just relax. You know? Albert Cottage County sound like a nice place, boy. Nadia, you could say that again, you know. You know the man say in the beach. He said the speed limit is 100k on the highway, but in Canada you're allowed to drive 120k. All right. Yeah. Next, yes, now it's upscale area plenty up here because it's summer till Labor Day, first Monday of September. Yeah, yeah, Albert, relaxing, boy. Eh, now this handsome, take that.
I,
take that, take that in my preference.
I give Anson the same treatment.
Take that in your preference, Anselm.
Take that and cool it down,
Yeah,
Sloan.
take that and cool it, man. Let me get to my editorial. Um, let me get to my editorial. Let me get it here because one of my okay, here we go. So folks, this is my editorial for the night, and it has to do with the building in the background here that, hold on. So folks, tonight my editorial has to do with the building in the background. That's a building in Chumaka, Claventil that's currently being renovated. That building burned down in 2011 under the UNC. And the UNC relocated those people to Oropun. And the PNM came into power in 2015. And from 2015 to, let me be accurate, I think it's 2022, that building sat there for 7 years under the PNM. Laventel West, which is the constituency of Chumaka Claventil, which it's Chumaka Claventil, have never ever voted for another party other than the PNM. Let me repeat that. Laventel West have never voted for another party. Even under the 33-3 laws, they voted for the PNM. And this building sat there 7 years under the PNM until I started to fight for that building. And the black people, many of the black people, black supporters of the PNM, fight me down because I was fighting for my constituency of Chumaka Claventil. So here is my editorial. Dear black supporters of the People's National Movement in Trinidad and Tobago, I write this message to urge you to stand up for your rights and challenge the status quo. It is essential to reflect on the relationship between the PNM and its impact on your community. While it may be true that you have consistently supported a party in the past election, it is crucial to assess whether they have truly served your best interests. Remember, your circumstances may shape who you are, but it's ultimately your responsibility to determine who you become. The time has come to demand accountability and to ensure that your voice is heard within the PNM and in the political landscape of Trinidad and Tobago. Dr. Claude Anderson's words hold great significance. A race that's taught to hate itself and love the world will become its own oppressor. It is vital to critically analyze the actions and policies of the PNM, ensuring that they are not perpetuating self-oppression or neglecting the interests of the black community. I encourage you to evaluate the economic development, empowerment, and inclusion initiative undertaken by the PNM. Consider whether they have prioritized the advancements of black people and black-owned businesses. Economic access, capital, and opportunities should be made available to uplift and empower the black community, fostering a more equitable society. By holding the PNM accountable and demanding concrete actions, you can help create positive change for yourselves and your community. Remember, political power lies in the hands of the people, and your collective voice can shape the future of Trinidad and Tobago. Stand united, demand justice, and work towards a society that truly values and uplifts all citizens. That is my special message to the many black supporters of the People's National Movement in Trinidad and Tobago.
I would say it goes beyond the black supporters.
Well,
I'm
the reason why I said that is because I am thinking about my community. I am being very biased. I'm letting people know ahead of time. I am being biased, and the reason why I'm being biased, Tommy, is because Laventil have never voted, have never supported another party other than the PNM. They have never forsaken the PNM. So to me, that deserves special treatment. Are they getting that treatment? Of course not. Of course not. They're not getting that treatment. Why would it take you 7 years? And them, the black people in the PNM, you know what they used to say? Hear what they used to say, Tommy. Well, the building has structural problems. How the building has structural problems and they're renovating it?
But I want to know, honest to Christ, why they sat there and kept doing the same thing and expected different results.
Well, Tommy, let me say this, eh? I have to say this, eh? And times have changed. But I remember, and I say this to people all the time, eh? I remember when I lived in Chumaka, Clavantil, my mother was a 10 days worker, a water carrier in 10 days. And my mother focus was on getting us food, not just food, but working in order to provide for her 4 or 5 or 6 kids. And that was her vision. It didn't really care. She didn't really look at if the bush was high next to the apartment, if the apartment, if we're wrong, the apartment wasn't swept, because she was busy, Tommy, trying to provide an honest living for her 5 kids so we could go to school, so we could have shoes, so we could have clothes, right? And once in a while, maybe we could go and visit the zoo. And once in a while, maybe we could go to the theater. And when Christmas come, she could buy us apples for the first time. Because we only used to get apples once a year. Apples and grapes. Remember that, right?
Yes, of course. You know,
We used to get that once a year. That was Christmas time. Other than that, all we used to do is watch. When we go to the market, we used to watch apples and grapes. You know, people just go when they go and they watch, go in the sea and they watch fish jump up and down and thing. We used to go in the market and watch apples and watch grapes and watch pears.
But I remember this. I just want to make this analogy. I remember there were couples. Sometimes you only hearing licks passing in the house, and she bawled, "Oh God, oh God, oh God!" And when you ask you, "Why you taking that licks? Why you sitting in that house there taking that licks?" She said, "He loved me, and he taking care of me." I want to know if because you're taking care of me and you love me, you're gonna beat me so and expect me to stay and keep taking the licks.
Well, Tommy, but also, right, there are many people who stay in an abusive relationship and until they get to that point where they leave. Many people. Right?
When are the people of Laventil gonna leave out of that relationship that keep abusing them?
Well, Tommy, that's a great question. That's a splendiferous question. And it's only up to the people to decide, in my estimation, when they have had enough abuse from the PNM. Because I can say this, the PNM, for the people in Laventil and environs, have been mentally and psychologically abusing them.
Because these people have to know, the people have to know the minute that they walk out of that relationship is when that abuser will be begging them to come back home and be wanting to give them the stars and the moon to get them to come back home. They have to know that.
But see, Tommy, in the same vein, right? A person who is an alcoholic, they don't stop drinking alcohol just like that. It takes them a long time. Sometimes it takes them a decade, 2 decades, years before they decide, I'm going to go get help. Drug abusers, it takes them time before they go and get help. Right? So I believe that the day is right around the corner where the people are going to decide we have had enough of this physical, mental, financial, and psychological abuse.
You know, but abusers sometimes get a devastating diagnosis that causes them to look for help. What are they going to wait till?
Well, I mean, you know, I mean, sometimes the abusers wait till, sometimes you don't know. I don't think there is a time limit, to be honest with you, on abuse. I don't think there's a time limit. It just, there comes a point in time when you say, you know what, enough is enough. And you have to have the gumption and the willpower to get up and say enough is enough. I don't know if the people in that community is at that point as yet. I don't know. I don't know. But we know one thing. Right? We know for all the years under the PNM, they are at the bottom of the barrel in Trinidad and Tobago. And not me saying that. The statistics have said that 25% of black people in Trinidad and Tobago are living below the poverty line. The statistics have said that when you compare them to the Indians, 14% of the Indians are living below the poverty line. That's not me saying that. That's the statistics. And the statistics have also said that on the other, 12% are living below the poverty line. Why is it, Tommy, that for 45 years under the PNM, I took out the 5 years of Pandey, I took out the 5 years of Kamala Prasad Besessa, I took out the 5 years of A.N.R. Robinson. And I say it's 60 years, right, of rule in Trinidad. So 15 years are taken out, 45 years, right? And if we do that, Tommy, are we saying that 75% of the time the PNM been in rule, have ruled the country, and these communities, 25% of black people are living below the poverty level, and every one of those parties have been ruled by a black person, a black prime minister? Maybe I could be off key somewhere, or maybe my data is kind of skewed.
I don't think the data is skewed. I think you're making a valid point. However, I'm simply saying is that if you're being abused and you're in an abusive relationship and you do nothing about it and you keep making believe that it's okay and it's still okay, then the abuse will continue unabated.
Yeah, but Tommy, that's the same thing with an alcoholic. If I decide that, look, I listen, I ain't gonna drink 12 beers no more, I go just drink 6 beers. You're still an alcoholic. But you think by reducing your beers, you are less of an alcoholic. So some people may say, you know what, I ain't voting for the PNM this time. I ain't voting for nobody, I'm staying home.
Sometimes just staying home would give who you're trying to teach a lesson the power.
You give him more power.
You are listening to WZYE LP 95.9 FM, Maplewood, New Jersey, broadcasting from Essex County.
So, folks, let's go for a quick station identification. It's in the village of the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We have coming up at about 8:30. We have Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath going to join us in the village on WZYE 95.9 FM. Stick and stay. We'll be right back after this message. It's in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We'll be right back after.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
I think there are two ways in which people are controlled. First of all, frighten people, and secondly, demoralize them. An educated, healthy, and confident nation is harder to govern. And I think there's an element in the thinking of some people. We don't want people to be educated, healthy, and confident because they would get out of control. the top 1% of the world's population own 80% of the world's wealth. It's incredible that people put up with it, but they're poor, they're demoralized, they're frightened, and therefore they think perhaps the safest thing to do is take orders and hope for the best.
We are back with you. It's In the Village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. Tommy,
Yes.
let me ask you a question, right? I want to ask this question. And I'm only asking this question because of the editorial that I just did. Tommy, do you think Mrs. Kamla Prasad-Busesa and Mr. Basdeo Pandey did more for people like look like them in the 5 years they were in power in Trinidad and Tobago?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, no question. Because they had an agenda which was trying to win their votes on a more sustained basis.
But they were also interested in improving their lives as well, though, right?
That's right.
Right? Not just from an economic perspective, economic development, economic empowerment, economic inclusion, and access to capital.
But the political agenda was the driving force.
Mm-hmm. And that's not to say that other people didn't benefit, right? Not to say that other people didn't benefit. As a matter of fact, some people say that under the reign of Basdeo Pandey and Kamla Prasad-Busesa, Black people benefited more than under the RPNM.
There are marked advancements and improvements that Black people got from Basdeo Pandey and from Kamla Prasad-Busesa. Just being truthful, I mean,
compared to the RPNM,
even the M1 too.
Okay. But I think, Tommy, if you have to make a comparison between the MPNM and the RPNM is worse.
Agree.
The RPNM, and watch now, the RPNM went to the Olympics, and them, even Usain Bolt was in that race, and them beat Usain Bolt by 5 meters. Them way ahead of keeping Black people at the bottom of the economic ladder. Way ahead. Listen. People, the facts, the evidence are out there, you know. When you have, go ahead, Tommy.
What's funny is that the MPNM had an epiphany and an awakening, and right in the middle of that stride.
Call an election.
Yeah, because he was being challenged vehemently by R.
You know, Tommy, people don't want to face up to the facts, eh? And I like to deal in facts. I am not good in dealing with other stuff, here, say and they, say and them, say and that, all that kind of thing. Tommy, 42% of children out of 18,797 students fail the SCA. Failed. Right? 42% is close to 8,000 out of 18,000. Right? Tommy?
You know, but if we really go by what we call a standard here in the United States, it will be greater than 42 because 50 is a failing mark.
Well, no, but we have to go based on their policies, though. I don't think we could compare U.S. fail to the Caribbean fail. If their fail is 50%, the test may be more difficult, you know, and there's the passing grades have to be a little lower. So I can understand that. I wouldn't, me personally, I wouldn't compare a failing grade in Trinidad, right, to as a lower grade to a higher grade here in this country. Like 60 is considered to be a pass in this country.
Right.
Right? 50 is considered to be a pass in Trinidad. Right? But I think that's all over the Caribbean. Right? So my belief is that the problem is that 42%. And this is where I will ask the question. I will ask the question, what percentage of them 42% look like you and I?
And that's a very good question.
That's where I would ask that question.
That's a very good question. You know, I was thinking about 21, 22, 23, and thought that 23, that 3% that 21 realized in the 90 percentile,
Yeah.
which was higher than that 2 point whatever percent
2.11.
that is being revered in 23 as a great accomplishment.
Yeah.
That is kind of like shameless.
Shameless. Shameless. You're absolutely correct. And you know what they did? They left that out, Tommy. They don't want to talk about that.
Nobody's gonna analyze it on that in that light, because wanting to look good, you would just gloss over that, you know.
But Tommy, the thing is about any little thing we can do to try to make you feel that we are accomplishing all the things that we need. Yeah, listen, we're talking about in 2022, it was 0.47.
You are listening to WZYE.
In 2022, it was 0.47%, Tommy. Wrong with you? In 2023, it went up to 2.11%. That's over 100% increase, Tommy. And you arguing about that, Tommy? Nah, something wrong with you, man. But when we go back and we see, wait a minute, wait, Dorothy, wait, Dorothy, wait, look, Peter by the gate, wait. You see that 2021 was 3%. You say, what? Hey, they conveniently left that out, boy. They ain't talking about that. Because that's not going to make them look good. And for all the people who saying about, oh, what, look what you talking about the kids and the folks. All I speaking about is the numbers. That is it.
And the numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie.
Welcome, Storm. Welcome, Storm. I was missing you. Come on in. Come on in, please.
Well, I was out knocking about in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, man. It's the state next to me, you know, so sometimes day trips over there is really nice.
Welcome, Hannah. Welcome. Let me just finish these things in the chat here. Albert says, if the government wants to see a change, the attitude from the Laventel people provide a playground for cricket. And Albert, I want you to go up in Wississauga where you're going a little more often, eh? Because I feel when you leave home, who sing that song? I can see clearly now. Who sing that? Aretha Franklin?
Johnny Nash.
Oh, Johnny Nash.
Something Nash.
I get that wrong 3 times. Right. Albert, I wanted to go up by your daughter-in-law in Mississauga a little more often, eh? Because whatever spectacles you're wearing when you go up there, you're starting to see a little more clearly than previously, right? Let me repeat what Albert says. And Albert, you are so correct, you know. If the government wants to see a change in the attitude from Laventel people, provide area, a playground for cricket and a football field. And Albert, I want to take it a little further. Not just a football field, but a football field with a track around it.
Oh.
And make it a multi-purpose field where you could play cricket, you could play football, you could play lacrosse, you could play baseball, you could have track and field. Tommy, you know very well, Diana, you as well, that in we have fields up here. You could play lacrosse. You could play football, right? You could play, well, football and soccer, right? They have a track around it. You could play lacrosse, right? You could play baseball, right? If you want, you could play frisbee too, right? All of that. It's a multi-purpose field. So Albert, I like that. I feel whoever you're drinking up there in Wississauga, you continue to drink that. Don't stop.
Talking about that, Anselm, you see how they transformed Ivy park in the back of the where you work there?
Of course. That is in the urban areas. Urban, you know. They pour that nice turf field, boy. Nice in the heart of the urban district. We ain't spending money on no $500 million on no red house. We ain't spending on renovating no president's house, no prime minister house. Eh? How them things does improve the lives of people, the poor, disadvantaged people in Trinidad? That field over there, Tommy, people could now go and play. They could run around. They could take their kids. They could play sports on weekends, weeknights, all kind of thing, man. It's changed. That's why, Tommy, when I went to Trinidad and I brought Sports Development Academy to them, and I tell you now, both of them, Anil Roberts and what's the next one name? Daryl Smith. Daryl Smith. Both of them get the same proposal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the both of them, Sparrow sing that song, both of them, right? Both of them put it in the disposable files. So hold up. So sometimes, and this is why I play this song, folks. This is why I play this, right? I play this because my experience, this is my experience.
This thing called PNM, this thing called UNC, is one set of dotishness to Mama Kai, you and me. It ain't have no color, it ain't have no race, it ain't have no principles or any values in place. And it was never meant to be the answer for unity. It shares no philosophy with any consistency. For when you watch the pedigree in each and every party, the difference you see turns out to be a case of power and money. Look here, them French Creoles in Saint-As, Maraval and St. Clair, they don't hold no allegiance or no party here. Rich men must be supporting who they feel going to win. Loyalty, friends, means nothing, money is getting. That's why PNM quite on turned court to UNC. And when Del Motley, his background showed he was with DAC. Hector Motley, the speaker, swore PNM till he dead. And when the last election over, he was UNC instead. Augustus Ramreka Singh, I knew him in Tapia. Next thing I know, he was a PNM minister. John Humphrey changed from Trinity and he joined about 5 parties. So he's only die-hard new and grassroots me. It's PNM and UNC. I lie. Oh, this thing called PNM, this thing called UNC, is only a power play to get our sympathy. It's not about African, it's neither East Indian. It had nothing to do with anybody's religion. Kamaluddin is a Muslim, Mahathir a Christian to the brim. Yet Montano the mulatto, different race, same party, you know. Johnny Milton and Rex Awan are 2 Chinese politicians. And while both of them love PNM, Brian Whiteton had a problem. Them French Creoles in Saint-As, Maraval and St. Clair, tell them they don't know allegiance or no party here. Right through, rich men must be supporting in Ishak Galbarancy, both parties they financing. Joey Saw and M. Elias, a PNM Lebanese, and yet Sabta of the same cast helps UNC pay their fees. Syrian businessman John Rahel, PNM they keep me up. An African wave mark as well, UNC made him minister. PNM's fundraising dinner had businessmen of all color. So it's only stupidity, you and me. It's PNM and UNC. I like
Juba.
Dubai.
Mm.
Dubai. And listen, that it's just let me finish reading the chat here. Oh God, I have a long message here. Hold on. Yeah. Listen, that's nice. Nadia said I love grapes, apples, and cherries. Nadia, in my household, we just used to see grapes, apples, and cherries before Christmas. Only time we get grape, apples, and cherries in my house is during Christmas. Right? Albert said, remember my dad having fete for Empire Day, Queen's birthday, and Carnival, and John Buddy Williams played music for his fete. Yeah.
That's a long time ago. John Buddy Williams. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The only time I hear about John Buddy Williams is when I go down by my neighbor downstairs and they move the curtain for me. That was the only time I see John Buddy Williams. Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the Joey Lewis Orchestra time, Tommy.
Yeah.
Yes, John Buddy Williams is probably before Joey.
Oh,
so
I never hear about him.
So Kapiza says, so in 10 years, MC help. Who's MC? Who's MC? MC help Indians. What did PNM do for black people since 1955? No, they did some things. All right, they did some things. I mean, certain people, certain rich businessmen did get taken care of. Trinidad Mango say, I think it's a combination of two issues. PNM tell you dead runs in the family, and poor people are so busy making a living, they don't focus on how they do not benefit from political parties, and they are grateful for the crumbs, not realizing that there's crumbs and they're entitled to more. Trinidad Mango, go to the head of the class and teach the class. Most drug, smoke, and drink, they're helpless. Most drug, smoke, and drink, they're helpless situation are where Indian people help each other, but our race do not give each other a hand up.
But what I zero in on sometimes is why didn't that East-West corridor demand more? You know, since they are the ones that apparently secure the PNM win from everything I'm hearing. Why didn't they demand more? All these years. Why didn't you put your hey, we want this, hey, we want that? Why didn't they demand more? Because the activists is it because the activists and them was eating up food? So, they just leave the voting populace to wither. That's what it is. And now they realize what's going on. You should have demanded more for your vote. So I think.
If you're asleep at the wheel, you wouldn't even know.
Demand more, man. I go vote, but we want this, we want that, we want this. Now they want to do it.
But Anna, you don't think they demand more and they will promise that they will get more?
But you keep you could promise me something for 60 years? Nah.
Not for 60 years. I promise you that, well, partner, when you vote for me and I get in, right, I'm going to handle your stories.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is that when you get in, you may handle one or two people's stories. Let me give you an example. You see that building in the back there was being renovated? It's a black contractor, right? It's a black contractor that got the business in order to... Now, I don't know if he's renovating the whole building, but I know he was the one that was started to demolish it and do all that other kind. Not demolish it, but get rid of the old roof and all kind of things, right? And no, a black contractor from Laventil and environs. Because the talk before that you couldn't go up there because of the gangs. That was the talk. Because if you had gone up there, you had to pay a tax. Right? You had to pay a tax. And that's the next thing I don't understand. You have police, you have regiment, right? You telling me that if I had to go up there, I had to pay a tax. I mean, I understand the system, but when you allow that to happen and it happens over and over and over, then what do you think? And then not only on top of that, right? You have 42% of the population of out of 18,000 people failing. What do you expect? What do you expect to happen?
What juvenile who?
Yeah?
Children.
42% of the children fail in the SCA.
Well, how many children? Anybody know how many children write the SCA?
18,797.
That's the figure.
That's the figure. 42% of them fail. 42% of them.
I just find it odd, right? Yeah, I mean, all these years, I ain't seen no industry coming nearby. And my community going down, and the gangs take, and this is what they're comfortable with. This is what you sticking your finger in the end year after year after year. Well, if they want to go back and do it, let them go. Go ahead and do it. That they want it so. Leave them so. They want it so.
I don't think they want it so. I don't
Yeah.
think they want it so. No, I
Well,
don't think.
if they don't want it so, we'll see a paradigm shift. I saw your friend Twiggy. She was near to a political meeting, and she said if it had 100 people, they had plenty.
Which
Right.
Which
The Red Party. And she showed us, I put the video in the chat there between us. And she said that if they had her, and she showed the video as well. That's a PNM meeting. And what time of the night it was, I think she called out. And if you have 100 people over there, they have plenty.
I don't put no stock in that. People going to local election is not considered to be an election where everybody just come out and vote. Local election, you might get, I don't know. I mean, Dr. Ragoonath can tell us. Maybe you get 40% of the people who might come out in the general election.
Yeah,
So
but what is it? What is it? What is it? The East-West corridor? Because that seems to be the tugging, the fighting, the zone. That seems to be the area. That decides the election. What is this? What is it? Like they want it so? They want things the way it is.
no, I don't think they want things the way it is.
But I mean, year after year after year after, and now,
Because they're thinking that maybe the other people that they give opportunities, they show that maybe not much change in their communities but when they give other people opportunities.
So what are you gonna do? You're gonna stick with what you have then?
Well, I mean, sometimes they say the grass is not greener on the other side.
Well, let them stick with the green grass then. That's what I say.
So Kupiza says, Walls, what is the GPA to enter a master's program? I think it's about a 3.0. You have to have like a B average
Yeah.
in order for you to enter a master's program.
But who's
You had to do a GRE. A GRE it is?
GMAT.
That's GMAT. My bad.
GMAT.
Who's Prasad Ramnath?
I think Pusat, I think he's been here before. Pusat, I think Pusat's been here before. Pusat, welcome.
Good evening, Prasad.
Kapiza wants to know, Walls, if Chumakak building is being redone, they're not using the strong blocks on the market. Kapiza, I could find out because I'm not sure. He wants to know, Walls, how's that Marat school performance looking? You gotta find that out. Kapiza, you gotta find that out for me.
He wants to know why Indo-Trinidadians disproportionately, hey, Capiza, you got a big word, boy, represented in sports such as football and track and field and Walls.
But before we get to Dr. Raghunath, Dr. Raghunath, I see you. I'm gonna bring you in 1 minute. Listen to this, right? I am a stickler. All you know, I love running, eh? And I'm gonna say this, eh? I am pro running. Doesn't mean to say I'm anti-basketball. Okay? I love track and field. Trinidad and Tobago is currently at the CAC Games. We won a gold medal in the 400 meters for men. We won the women 4x1. We won the men's 4x1. We won the men's 4x4 with a great anchor leg by Jorim Richards. Jorim the Dream Richards. And I said to myself, I said, listen, I went to the Ministry of Sports page and they have something about it. But I say, you know what? You have to lead from in front. I went to the Prime Minister page, right? The Prime Minister of the country. And I said, Lord have mercy. Lord Father, please put a hand. I said, maybe he might be out. He might be still up. No. I ain't gonna say that because I just go running. If I become the Prime Minister one day, I ain't stopping running. So I can't be upset with him.
You to become the Prime Minister, you have to start golfing.
Well, I used to golf too, you know what I mean? But I go pick it up again. Right? I went to his page and I looking for some kind of congratulation from the Prime Minister of the country. And I look and I look and I look.
You went on a shampoo page?
No, Ministry of Sports have something. And I said, well, you know what? I said, what? You know, sometimes maybe he's still busy doing other things. Let me go to the office of the Prime Minister. Right? I went to the office of the Prime Minister and I ain't seen nothing. I said, but wait now, boy. What? I missing something. I have to be missing something. You mean them fellas and them who working harder? And I'm telling all you see most of those athletes, sad to say, most of them training here in the United States of America. Most of them on scholarship and they're training here in the United States of America. Right? And the Prime Minister don't even have the common decency for someone of his staff to write something on his page. Let them get them to write something. Look, look the password. Go and just put anything there for me. Because nobody gonna know. Not one word. Remember Sugar always sing that song, not one word? Right? That's the Prime Minister. Not one word. But let me bring in our next guest before I get in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm bringing Dr. Raghunath. Dr. Raghunath, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Yeah, don't be too upset with me because I like to.
No, you. That's your role, man. You have to do what you have to do.
Yeah, that's go off into a tangent sometimes. When my wife bring that clear drink for me, does make me lose focus. You know, I tell she don't bring it for me, but she brought it and.
When you say clear drink, it's not water, right?
No, the pipe bust.
Oh, Dr. Raghunath, you're hitting below the belt.
But Dr. Raghunath, somebody sent my video. I go play it later on. Pipe. The pipe, and the pipe was 1 foot short, right? And boy, and they sent me the video. Them trying to fit a pipe that's 1 foot short, right? And that's why they have all the problem. And I'm like, Lord Father, what is going on? I tell the person, no, I say no, all the doctor that tape, all the doctor that videotape, all the use.
And there's a whole bunch of areas without water.
All the use intelligence and all the doctor that tape. So it was anyway. Dr. Raghunath, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
It's a pleasant to have you back in the village. We're not going to keep you too long, right? We want to get, as a matter of fact, Dr. Raghunath, we just have 1 or 2 questions so you can clarify for us. Let me see something here. Just a minute. Let me see if I put that this way. Hold on, I think that's you there. Let me see. Hold on a minute. Okay, and I think I can put you over here. Let me remove myself.
I'm incognito, Bishnu. My head ain't looking too right. So.
All right.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. Okay, all right, here we go. So, Dr. Raghunath, many people were kind of unaware of the organization that you are the president of, right? And it is my understanding that this organization came into existence in 2016. Is that accurate?
No, it's 2014.
2014. All right, 2014. Now, the organization is not an organization appointed by the government, right? It's not a governmental organization.
No. And you see, and that is the real challenge that we have. This maybe I should explain the
Explain to people, because in my research, I mean, I am looking and I'm seeing, wait, boy, but this is an independent organization, has nothing to do with any appointment by the government. Is there 12 members of the board? 12 members? Or
we have 9 members of the council, and but before I get to the 9 members,
go ahead.
Let me go back. In 2014, the Archbishop of Port of Spain, the Roman Catholic Archbishop, the Anglican Bishop, the head of the Mahasabha, the head of the Chamber of Commerce, the IRO, all the members of the IRO, maybe I should also say that, Phaeton, the Transparency Institute, several civil society organizations, about 12 of them, came together and said, no, remember, this is 2014. We had not yet had the 2015 election. And they came together in 2014 and said they believe that if they don't put something in place, the level of campaigning is going to deteriorate to such an extent that it will put Trinidad and Tobago in a very bad position to get back out of. So amongst these civil society organizations, they went ahead and they drafted a code of ethical political conduct. Having drafted that, they then sent it to this is 2014, so we had 5 major political parties at that point in time who were going to contest the 2015 election. The UNC was in government. Well, the People's Partnership, whatever, the UNC. The UNC was in government. But we had the UNC, the PNM, the COP. Jack Warner had his ILP, and David Abdullah had the MSG. And they got the leadership of these 5 political parties to come in, read this code of ethics, and endorse it. So maybe I should say, for the PNM, Keith Rowley was political leader, and at that point in time, Franklin Kahn was chairman. So both Keith Rowley and Franklin Kahn came in and signed and endorsed this code of ethics.
So Dr. Ragoonath, let me just be clear.
Right.
The current Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, endorsed the code of ethics.
Yes.
Okay. Continue.
Right. So having said that, and you had the various other political parties have, if not the political leader, at least the chairman of the party or somebody. But in the case of the PNM, and I stress that at that point in time, Keith Rowley was prime minister, was opposition leader, but he was political leader of the party. And just to give it the real support of the PNM, both he and Franklin Kahn, as chairman of the party, went in and endorsed it.
Right. So he was in opposition. He was in opposition at that point.
He was in opposition at that point in time. Okay. After the parties endorsed it, then this civil society organization, which we call the founding organizations, then decided to now find people to populate what they will call the Council for Responsible Political Behavior, which will now be given the task of monitoring the campaign and monitoring adherence to the code that these parties would have signed on to. And it was at that point in time, for instance, in 2015, so that all of that happened in 2014. Early in 2015 is when the council was first appointed. And at that time, we had people like Reggie Dumas from Tobago, myself, Noble Khan from Ashja, and you had various other.
What about Ramesh Lawrence Maraj?
Who?
Was he ever part of it? Ramesh?
No. Ramesh wasn't a part of it.
He wasn't part of it. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So anyway,
Afro Raymond.
No, he was not part of it. Now, again, let me make this very clear. We, the members of the council, did not have any say at all in who were going to comprise the council. Those civil society organizations, they decided amongst themselves, and then they invited a group of us and says, we would like you all to monitor adherence to this code based on the fact that parties have signed on to the code. And it was only on that basis that we accepted, because the parties had already agreed. So there was nothing for us to go to party and ask this party or that party to come and sign. We accepted to monitor the election. Now, monitor the election, I want to emphasize this. We only, you see, when election day, you see Keith Rowley announced the 14th of August as the election day. The day he announced the day of the elections, which was like just under 3 months, that was when we start monitoring. And we monitor the campaign. We don't monitor year-long political activity because we are a voluntary group.
Right.
We only monitor in that 3-month period when you announce the election to the date of the election.
So now, so how would you guys do that? How would you do? You split up that you will listen to the UNC, you will listen to the PNM?
No. What we do is our monitoring is based on basically what the media carries. And like I say, and sometimes we look at traditional media. Well, sorry. We look at traditional media. Sometimes we look at social media. But the point about it, we are not, and this is where we now invite the political parties as well as the general public. If you see something that you think breaches the code, please advise us, and then we could investigate it. But we cannot see, we admit we cannot see everything that is going on outside there. We don't know what is going on. We don't know everything that is going on outside there. We take what is in the general media. So for instance, within the last week, and we did put out a release last week, this week, on Thursday, we did put out a release. And that basically was simply because one, Gary Griffith had formally complained to us, as well as we were following the media, and in fact, the Express, I think, had carried stories about people were being paid to join other political parties, and then particularly so, and maybe I should also say the media people. The people in the media are normally the ones who would probably bring things to our attention if we miss it. So for instance, several reporters, several journalists would write to me and tell me, Doc, we hearing so and so. So in fact, one journalist probably on Tuesday or so sent me a list. They have a smear campaign going on. All the attacks against Gary Griffith. And so they went through a long list. Now, not everything we could see and we have seen in the media. So some of the things that we have seen in the media, we say, okay, fine, we're going to deal with that. But we got an official complaint from Gary Griffith about the PNM. And of course, one of the things Gary Griffith did was send us, give us the link towards the PNM meeting. He says, here's the meeting, the link. You could go on the internet and pull it down and see the whole meeting and hear what Rowley actually said. So those were the kinds of things that we do. We follow what is being said, and we will then have a meeting. Members of the council would then determine where we go and what do we say in terms of whether we would accept this as a legitimate complaint of a breach or a violation of the code. Two things before I stop here. One, because the council is in civil society NGO, it has no governmental sanction except that the political parties that signed on, but political parties are not government, so political parties signed on, not the government. So political parties, we don't have any power of sanction. What we tell people and what we have said in the code and what we keep saying is people sign a code. They signed it on their own volition. If they breach it, all we're going to do is tell the population, look, they're breaching it. And this is where they breach. And we leave it up to the population to determine how they're going to treat with the respective persons who breach the code. That's one thing. And the second thing we'll say is simply, apart from saying that we will let them say that they breached it, we will call on the respective political parties to use moral suasion. That's all we have. Please don't do it again. Please try and avoid it. And those are the kinds of things that we do. So we have no power of sanction, no punitive measures. We are civil society. So having explained it in that context, I take your next question.
So Dr. Ragoonath, here it is. I'm reading from the letter now. It says, the allegation was that an offensive utterance was made using inflammatory language with the potential to cause irreparable consequences. The council, having reviewed the speech made by the Prime Minister, is of the view that the language used was clearly inappropriate and insensitive, close quote. And I just want to read on to be sure the statement from the Prime Minister runs counter to the clauses in 2 sections of the code, the commitment section, as well as the section on prohibit conduct under the commitment. And you have the commitment stated. So your report agreed with that what the Prime Minister says was inappropriate and insensitive.
Agreed. Yes. That's the view of the council.
Right. So Dr. Ragoonath, have there been ever any other situations where you have the council have been written to with respect to language and the political huskings?
From 2015, we have been going through this process. And the council, in 2019, the composition of the council was changed somewhat. In that what we had in 2015, now when the council was first set up in 2015, bear in mind that there were only 5 main political parties, okay? So what we had at that point in time was that we gave each political party the opportunity to have a representative sitting on the council. However, by 2019, we had about 10 or 12 or 15 different parties having registered saying that they wanted to contest elections in 2020 and so on. And it was impossible for us to say every party could have a representative. So it was at that stage, the founding organizations decided they will remove party representatives. We will set up a supplementary committee where the council will interact with the representative of the parties and let the representatives take their messages back to their parties. In 2015, and I like to say this, between 2015 and 2019, the representative for the PNM on the council at that point in time was none other than, boy, his name slips me now, Ferdy Ferreira. And if you know Ferdy Ferreira, a walking encyclopedia.
Correct.
But if you know Ferdy Ferreira don't stand nonsense.
Right.
And he was one of the people, whenever the PNM at a meeting breached the code, he was the first one to come into the council and say, hey, my leader do stupidness. My leader say stupidness. And of course, we will then write to the leadership and tell the leadership this should not happen. I would go one step further. In fact, in 2015, Rural Munilal had made some comments on the platform. And we, in the same way we said in this release about the Prime Minister, we made a release about Rural Munilal. And at the next meeting that Rudal Munilal went to and stood on a political platform, he recognized and he says, I have been sanctioned by the Council for Responsible Political Behavior, and I will try to my best to not be in breach or in violation of the code anymore. That's the kind of responsibility that we got from some political parties and some political leaders.
No,
Okay?
no, here's a follow-up question, right? Is this the first time that Dr. Rowley was reprimanded by the council?
It would not have been the first time. When, for instance, in 2015, I don't think we had cause to reprimand him for the 2020 election or the 2019 election or so. But in 2015, yes, there were instances when his reprimands were laid out against some of the things he would have said.
What about Kamala Prasad-Bissessar? Has she ever been reprimanded?
Yes, remember there was I think it was in 2020, when Kamala Prasad-Bissessar made the blank and black statement or whatever else.
Yes.
And that, yes, she was reprimanded for that.
You know, so Dr. Ragoonath, this is what I'm hearing, right? I'm hearing that this organization is a fair and impartial organization that looks at the facts and act based on the facts. And for people to attack you, they just attack you. And all of a sudden, Dr. Ragoonath is a UNC, right? If you issue a report that's pro PNM, is a UNC. If you issue a report that's pro UNC, is a PNM. How do you deal with that?
Well, let's put it like this. I have been in an academic since 1992. Since then, I have been observing elections, and somewhere between probably 2000 and 2010, 2000, so when I go to PNM meetings, because I go to meetings from all parties. When I go to PNM meetings, sometimes there's people, supporters who tell me, look at UNC person coming to a Makowi party.
A snake in the balize. A snake in the balize.
And then and I remember distinctly, I went to a PNM meeting in Tunapuna, and the same night I went to a UNC meeting in St. Augustine. And when I got to the UNC meeting, the look at PNM snake coming to see what we say. And so I have been literally marginalized and alienated by both political parties. Really and truly now, it don't bother me. So that is why, in fact, when in 2015, when Archbishop Harris asked me to serve as chair, I said, Archbishop, you sure you know what you're doing? Because, he said, Bishnu, and that is why I want you. That is why I want you to stay as chair. I was surprised when, I shouldn't say I was surprised. And in fact, when Archbishop Harris demitted and Archbishop Gordon and Bishop Berkeley from the Anglican Church took over in 2019, 2020, the both of them came back to me and says, stay as chairman, we don't want anybody else. And I said, but are they sure? They say yes, because you will take the licks, it's all right. Nobody will bother you. And I know I'm getting plenty licks. I'm getting plenty licks right now from everybody, but it doesn't bother me. And more importantly,
go ahead.
More importantly, the members of the committee, the members of the council are people of standing in their own right. So I don't really bother. I simply say I am the chair, but all the statements will come out under my name. But I could tell you that the people on the committee, the council, could stand on their own right if they wanted to. I mean, who are members of the council? Dr. Eastland Mackenzie from Tobago. If anybody knows Dr. Eastland Mackenzie, one of the strongest independent persons that I have ever known. We have Dr. Mackenzie, Dr. Gabriel Hussein, Dr. Olabisi Koboni, Dr. Beverly Beckles. So these are some of the people. Professor Carly Pemberton, Mr. Ralph Peter. Okay, so we have a mix of people who represent various places. We have an imam representing the Islamic community on the council. So that's the kind of things that we have. And like I say, I'm not bothered.
Doctor, do you think? I mean, I might be trying to go into your brains here, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Do you think that this admonition of Dr. Rowley will change going forward as far as making these type of statements on the political huskins as we go forward?
You really want my comment on that?
Yes. That's why I asked the question.
I got your back, Bishnu. Go ahead. I got your back.
You're in the village. You know when you come in the village, Doc. You know where just go in the village. You know where just keep it real in the village.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Like I say, I've been monitoring, I've been observing elections and candidates and politicians for the last 30 years.
Right.
Can a leopard change its spots?
Oh.
No, but Doc, we want people to follow things that they signed off on. If you signed off on a treaty and there's been a document that says, you violated the treaty, you should be able to look at it and say, you know what? I have to do better because this is the better for the country. I have to do better. And I mean, maybe I talking about pie in the sky, maybe I'm wishful thinking here. I don't know.
No. But basically what you have said there and what we said in our release is basically the same thing, What we said is that people who are political leaders, they are the ones who are to set the example for the society. Yes. They are the ones who people are looking towards. And if they can't do it, where is us?
We lost. If you as the leader can set an example for the 14, 15, 16-year-old coming up, and they can look up to you and say that, yes, when I grow up, I want to be like that. However, if you are...
Oh, don't worry. Some 14 and 15-year-olds have taken an example and they are already behaving like that.
Oh, wow. I just would like to see things get better for the country as a whole. That's my thing, I mean, at the end of the day, this doesn't benefit the country in any way. Benefit to the country as far as when I look at it. If we can hold people accountable, and of course, Dr. Ragoonath, you guys are all independent and giving out an opinion for a person to get better. I mean, that's what I would say. You are not trying to, denigrate the person or anything like that. You're just trying the person to improve, something that they agree to. It's...
And I want to say one thing. And this is why you see, like, for instance, I have been criticized by, in fact, I on another chat that I am on, people criticize me violently that I was not hard enough and the council, I mean, could have been much more and use language such as what other people are using, So we will not go there. If you follow the release that I gave, I simply quoted where the errors were made.
Correct.
I'm not casting anything else outside there. I'm not saying anything else. I'm not giving any editorials. I'm simply saying, this is what you signed on to, and this is the challenge.
Here are the facts. You're sticking to the facts. And that's all you can ask for, because I think, I like to stick to the facts too, because when I deviate from the facts is where I just get in trouble. And facts, most of the times, Facts don't lie. But quickly, Dr. Ragoonath, someone is asking, do you get paid for this from your organization or otherwise?
Absolutely. And that's part of our biggest problem. We have absolutely no sponsorship. We cannot take sponsorship from any state organization because then you're in the state pocket or you're in this party pocket or whatever else. We cannot, well, the private sector don't give money, and especially when you want to go and criticize a politician next, and I have to go back and get jobs from them or whatever from them afterwards. No, me giving all no money. So we, for instance, would have liked, and I would tell you this. Remember I said, basically, when we started up, it was the IRO and several smaller civil society organizations. I will say it here today. The funding we have gotten thus far came from 3 organizations. Before we were formally launched, the Massey Group gave us some money. Oh, sorry, not us. They gave the founding organization some money so that the founding organizations could have done what they had to do, right? That had nothing to do with us. After we were formed, 2 organizations gave us money. The Catholic Church and the Mahasabha. That is the only money we have ever received. So that money is running low right now. What we pay for is we pay for, website, hosting and those kinds of things. Because they didn't give us no big set of money. We, at one point in time, we were in consultations with the Canadian High Commission, who, the High Commissioner who was here was very much so interested in what we were doing and so on. And the High Commissioner had started consultations with us to talk about giving us some funding and support, because what we had said is, firstly, we need to print this code. We need to distribute it as far and as wide as possible. And we need to at least run some education programs, at least in the secondary schools and so on. So the Canadian High Commissioner at one point in time had started the discussions with us. And unfortunately, I'm an academic. And when do I get time to do my work? I just send out emails 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I got an email from them telling me that they don't like the times that I will be operating, like if I operate in a one-man show, and for that reason, they will not consider sponsoring. Mind you, I had a meeting with the same Canadian High Commission where we carried in the entire council, which at that point included Bishop Abdullah, Clive Abdullah, Leela Ramdeen, and Noble Khan. So I carried in everybody else. But they decided it's a one-man show and they're not sponsored. That was the end of talk about sponsorship. So right now, what we did in the run-up to the 2020 elections, just before COVID started, we did one training session for schools in South, where we invited the sixth formers to come to one of the schools in I think it was in Pinal or Dede, where they would send in their sixth formers. And then we did one at St. Augustine, where we invited the schools from the north. So sixth formers who were now going to vote for the first time, we tried to educate them and enlighten them on the code. But of course, to do that costs money. And COVID came along, we didn't get anything going again. So right now we, on a bare bones budget, probably have enough money to pay for web hosting probably for the next 2 years. After that, that's it. But to your direct question, who is paying us? Nobody.
So, Dr. Ragoonath, can we hold it there for 1 minute? We want to keep you just a few more minutes. We're going to go for a quick station identification. It's in the village with the DAT Triplets and WZYE 95.9 FM. We have with us political scientist Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath with us. Stick and stay. We'll be right back after this show.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
Back with you. It's in the village with the DAT Triplets and WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. Dr. Ragoonath, I want to read a comment here for you. It says, unfair statement, because you said it's not every election Dr. Rowley break the rules. Sad comment. I can say the same for all the leaders, not only Dr. Rowley. I say this is silly season. What do you say to that?
I'm not sure the first part of your comment. When you say
unfair statement, because you said it's not every election Dr. Rowley breaks the rules. I guess when we had said, I guess I had asked the question if Dr. Rowley did it before, and you said yes. And I think she's saying that it's an unfair statement because you said it's not every election Dr. Rowley breaks the rules. And she said, sad comment, I can say the same for all the leaders, not only Dr. Rowley. But you did admit that Kamla Prasad-Bissessar was also given letters regarding to her behavior as well, correct?
Yeah, I mean, and I am not saying at all it was only Dr. Rowley. I'm saying, and I said initially, Rudal Munilal, I said Kamla Prasad-Bissessar. I am not, so it's not that I'm attacking Dr. Rowley, don't get me wrong. And I'm saying that I can tell you definitely that we did in 2015 and we have now done again in 2023, cited Dr. Rowley in 2015 and now in 2023. I did not, we had between 2015 and 2023, we had a local Tobago House of Election in 2017. We had a local government election in 2019. We had a general election in 2020. We had 2 Tobago House of Assembly elections in 2021.
Dr. Ragoonath. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Dr. Ragoonath, do you think KPB statement reminding I can't remember who she is, that she carries a slave master name, do you think a statement like that merits cautioning from your organization?
But it was not in an election period.
Oh, okay.
My council has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
See, that's
had she made the statement during an election period, would that be a statement that merits?
It would have merited the council considering it.
No.
I will not say yea or nay whether it breached or not breached. The council would then have considered it. But again, I emphasize we only monitor
during election. So during the election period, an ordinary citizen contact you and say, hey, I don't like what I just heard. Can you look into this and send you a link to?
Yes.
Okay.
We ask citizens, in fact, in all our releases, we invite the population at large, we invite the political parties, anybody. You see something that you think is a breach, please report it. We will investigate it.
On all political parties, PEP, PDP, everybody.
Notwithstanding that some of them have not signed the code. Notwithstanding that some of them have not signed the code. We did, however, send all our copies. In fact, once the campaign started, once parties nominated candidates for this election, we again sent all the parties an electronic copy of the code, asking them to disseminate it to all their candidates because we don't have access to each and every candidate. Bear in mind that some parties are fielding candidates who we've never even heard about. So we asked the party leadership, please disseminate the code to your candidates. Now, the candidates in turn, they're supposed to at least let their supporters know what their leadership would have signed on to. And I say in leadership would have signed on to, admittedly, that some political parties have not signed on to the code, but we treat all of them with the same brush. The same code applies. And I say that because some people might tell me, for instance, that my party has signed the code, so I don't have to apply. No, well, we ain't taking that as an excuse. Remember, I started off by saying that the 5 political parties from 2015 are signatories of the code. Since then, several other political parties came aboard and signed the code. In the 2021 Tobago House of Assembly election, we went to Tobago and we got the code signed by the PNM, Davidson Celestine was then PNM Tobago Council political leader, but she's also deputy political leader of the PNM Trinidad and Tobago. She signed on behalf of the PNM with Mr. Stanford Kalinda. Farley Augustine signed on behalf of the PDP. Well, he's no longer with the PDP now. So I am not sure whether the PDP will consider themselves a signatory or not a signatory of the code, because Farley Augustine had signed on behalf of the PDP, and the other parties which had contested in 2021 in THA had signed on. So that's the kind of background that we have. Now, like I said, I mean, maybe I could say it. Gary Griffith and the NTA did not sign the code, but they reported the PNM.
Did you approach them? Were they approached?
Remember, we did not approach parties because remember it was only some of the parties that are contesting this election, literally, came about within the last 6 months.
Right.
Okay? So the NTA, for instance, we only know about them for the last 6 months or at most a year when Gary Griffith said, well, okay, fine, I'm going to start the party. We did not even know that he was going to contest the local government elections.
Okay.
Right? So we did not approach people. We, however, left the door open. If anybody wants to sign on to the code, they can approach us and we'll allow them to sign on to the code. Another political party which is contesting this election, which has been in existence for more than 4 or 5 years now, we invited them in 2019 to come in and sign the code. And the political leader did come to our meeting. The meeting was at the Archbishop's house in Port of Spain. He came in there and he said, look, I'm not signing. And he left.
Is that Pep?
I ain't answering that question.
Dr. Ragoonath. All right. It's the Orange Party then. All right, let me leave it at that.
All right.
Yes.
And the man walk out on us and say, I'm not signing. And we can't do nothing.
But Dr. Ragoonath, if he doesn't sign, he shouldn't be allowed to report nobody.
Well, no. But the thing about it is that, and this was a statement we made earlier in this program. What's the intention of this whole thing? The intention of this whole exercise, the council, the code, everything else, is not for them. It's for the development and benefit of Trinidad and Tobago.
Correct.
And really and truly, whether they decide to sign or not sign, we are looking at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is Trinidad and Tobago.
Correct.
And in saying the bigger picture is Trinidad and Tobago, you want to complain? Fine, complain. We will take your complaint. Like I said, Gary did not sign. Did we refuse Gary's complaint? No. We accepted it. We took it forward. And that's the way we would want to go. No. Other people might tell you, well, if them assign, what's the use of this thing? What I will tell you is simply um, the EBC has told us 10 political parties are contesting this election. Out of the 10 political parties, 5 or 6 of them are signatories to the code. We go in with that. But in saying that we go in with that, we are treating all political parties as if they are signatories to the code.
But Doctor, I don't understand that. I kind of scratching my head then because, and I'm asking myself this question in the back of my head. Then actually, is the Council for Responsible Political Behavior could be considered to be a toothless bulldog, and here's why.
We accept that.
Huh?
We accept that.
Or you?
We accept that.
Okay, all right.
No. You see, and again,
yeah,
we accept that that we are toothless bulldog because we have no powers of sanction.
Okay,
right?
Mm-hmm.
But in saying that, yes, we are toothless bulldog, but we leave it upon the citizenry at large to determine the fate of those who breach a code which they would have signed on.
Dr. Ragoonath, I'm sorry, but that ain't gonna work in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, our concern, and in fact, in 2015, when we were first launched, the then chairman of the Elections and Boundaries Commission, who has since passed on, came to our launch and says, this is something that really we should have legislated.
Yep.
But it is not for him to decide what goes to the parliament.
Yeah.
And he made that quite clear. I will tell you, I will go further to tell you. And I have great respect for that past chairman of the Elections and Boundaries Commission. He drafted proposals for the reform of the EBC in 2015, after the 2015 election. Unfortunately, he retired and passed on shortly thereafter. And the current EBC, as far as I'm aware, has not taken those proposals, has not pushed for those proposals to be further considered. I don't know whether they did it, as far as I'm aware. But I know that in 2015, after the general election in 2015 and the government changed, the chairman of the EBC did in fact put forward proposals for reform of the EBC. Didn't happen, okay? Having said that, what can I say? There are many people in our society today who acknowledges that we are toothless bulldog, and we too acknowledge that. But they continue to tell us, go forward. Why? Because the process you have started is like turning a ship in the ocean. You just can't turn a ship around a corner. That has to take a long time. And we were told back in 2015 when we started this, when we launched the code and council and everything, probably expect real change in 2030. We have stood the course for the last 7-8 years. We still probably have another 7 years to go before we reach 2030. And God willing, I will continue to serve once the founding organizations want me there.
You know,
find anybody else, I don't have a problem.
You know, Dr. Ragoonath, what it reminds me of, this is what it reminds me of. We had a situation where the TTPS went to Barbados, captured a man, bring him back to Trinidad, right? And there was no consequences for their actions as of today, right?
Right.
So your organization is trying to make the politicians straight. If nobody can be convicted for leaving the country and going to another country and capturing a person and bringing them back to this country, you think they really care about if you guys reprimand them or tell them anything? You
And
think
you
they
hear,
really care?
and you hear what the chairman of CARICOM say in response to that question on Tuesday or Wednesday?
What,
All right.
what did he say?
When he said, as far as they're concerned, Impact has served us well and we will continue to support them. End that story. Right?
Yeah,
but I'll use one other example to illustrate what has.
Okay.
Way back in 2015, when we were first launched, in fact, I was invited. We were pushing the code at that point in time, and the council, and I was on a morning edition show. I remember that Julian Rogers was hosting the show at that point in time, and I was on the show, and a caller called in and says, "What nonsense, Julian, are they encouraging on TV6? We bacchanal in politics, and all they want to stop it. All they want people to be decent and not mudsling and those sorts of things. Look, get that man off the show." And I'm telling you, that happened in 2015. We know we like we peacock in Trinidad. We know we bacchanal and we politics. We don't expect it to change. We don't expect an overnight change. We don't expect people to stop the mudslinging. We don't expect people to stop the smear campaigns. But at least the hope is that if more and more intelligent people, and intelligent doesn't mean educated, more and more intelligent people start telling politicians, you see what all they're doing is not right. It's not right in building our democracy for future generations. Let us clean it up. And that's all we want. That's all we want. So yes, I'm a toothless bulldog. I'm talking to the wind.
Yeah, but Dr. Ragoonath, like I teach global business principles of management and organizational behavior, right? I teach global business, right? To me, it's called a utilitarian approach. There should be consequences for your actions, whether they are negative or positive consequences. If all I'm going to get is a letter telling me don't do it again, and listen, you was a bad boy, you're a bad boy, don't do that again. I say, all right, I ain't going to do that again. I'll go wait another year or so, and then I'll go do it again. And that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that until, maybe I should change my mind, because even if it becomes law in Trinidad and Tobago, hardly anybody does go to jail for anything anyway. So maybe I just need to leave that alone.
You see, and that's where, and I hear you, and I understand your pain in that. We understand it. We would like to say we could do more than a tap on the wrist. But the point about it is that, hey, guess what? Let me put it into another perspective. How long ago we say we need reform to change basic things in our society? You hear any politician saying they could change it?
Campaign contribution, for example.
Let me go with that to a campaign contribution. Mm-hmm. In 2015, Keith Rowley campaigned in the 2015 election. The manifesto said, we will introduce campaign finance legislation in Trinidad and Tobago. The same year, next year in 2016, in May 2016, Keith Rowley went to a conference, corruption conference in England in May 2015, and said we're going to have campaign finance legislation introduced in Trinidad and Tobago. In 2017, we had a 3-day meeting, 2016 or 2017, a 3-day meeting at the Hyatt in Trinidad, bringing people from all over the world to tell us what we need to do about campaign finance legislation and so on. Today is 2023, and it can move nowhere from that 2015 suggestion. No, sorry, it did move in that they brought a bill to the parliament and they sent it to a joint select committee. This joint select committee has been sitting on that for the last 4 years, and it can move nowhere further. And if that is bad, if I use 2015 as my point of departure, let me give you a real life example of what happened in Trinidad. In 2003, following the PIACO and the PNM taking power in 2002, in 2003, the government said we needed procurement legislation. 2003. By 2005, they brought a bill to the parliament and say, this is what we're going to pass. This is what we want. The bill was drafted and laid in parliament. It died its own debt in 2006 when Patrick Manning came back from Chogam in Uganda and said, we needed to build a waterfront project with the Hyatt and whatever else to hold Chogam and the regional conference, the OAS regional conference in Trinidad in 2009. So, and Mr. What's his name? He was chairman of NIB, was given the task, and he said, Prime Minister, if you want a bill, forget procurement. So Prime Minister gave him free chance. He built, so we had that. In 2010,
called a hat.
Called a hat, right? In 2010, Kamala Prasad Bisesa came and says, we're going to have procurement legislation. Within a month of the first sitting of Parliament in 2010, under Kamala Prasad Bisesa, the same procurement bill that the PNM had in 2006 was laid in the Parliament. Same procurement bill. That bill went along, up and down, changing hands, doing this, that, and the other. The bill was passed when? January 2015. January 2015, PNM won the election later that year. PNM say, we're going to modify it, amend it in 2016. They did that. They amended it again in 2017. They did that. They came back in 2020 and amended it again. They came back, well, it has only been proclaimed a month ago, and it has not been, nothing has happened. So I'm talking about 2003 to 2023. 20 years to get procurement legislation. Keith Rowley said in 2015, campaign finance regulations. If I had to check 20 years, 2035.
You know, you could say the same for property tax too, you know. Maybe they might change even on property tax too, because, you know, the Prime Minister stand up on a platform and he pushed Imbut aside and you see, I go take this property tax question here. You know, I don't know if people remember that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And the UNC back then had a great chance to ask the tax, because that's what they was telling people, they were ask the tax. You know, so to me, I'll be honest with you, Dr. Ragoonath. I am becoming very cynical about the way things happen in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm being honest, very honest, because the politicians seems to like they really don't no, let me don't say they don't care. All right. I want to choose my words carefully. It seems like their interests are not overall to the all the populations of the most of the population of the country. I'll put it like that. Their agenda is not to improve the lives of those people who need their lives improved. I just put it that way. I might be rambling, because
Politicians are there to win power and stay in power. And that's the long and short of it all. Whoever keeps them in power,
that is it.
Support them.
That is it. So here's the other one. Did you guys get a complaint about the 500,000 or the 550,000 that was a so-called inducement of a candidate going from the UNC to the PNM in order to represent the PNM as a councillor? Did you guys get a complaint about that?
No, we did not get a complaint about that. But notwithstanding that we did not get a complaint about that, it was all over the media. So if you look at our media release,
yeah, I saw it.
We did in fact raise it and said that, hey, wait a minute, the first prohibited item or the first item under prohibited conduct tells us you should not be doing this. And you agreed not to do it. We leave it there.
But you didn't issue an opinion on it though. You just clarify that here is the
no.
As opposed to Dr. Rowley, you did issue opinion on it.
Because we had an official complaint. Like I said, in this particular case, there was a check that was a copy of a check that was printed in the Express with a story that went with it. Okay? Herein comes the challenge. In this particular case, one, the issuer of the check told the bank or withdrew the check. Maybe that's the correct term. So the bearer of the check, who it was made out to, could not go and draw the check, draw down the money. So is there any money that was passed?
But Dr. Ragoonath, isn't the act the most important thing rather than whether it was just the act that there was a check issued, right? The behavior is the most important. There was a check issued.
And we agree with that.
Okay.
But you see, again, all we had to go on in this particular instance was a story that came out of the Express.
But wasn't the check evidence too? Wasn't the check an evidence too, unless it's a fake check?
Well, we don't know whether it's fake or not.
Okay.
That's our problem. I could tell you, I heard Keith Rowley say the words based on the video. But I cannot verify that that check was real or not.
But are there any times in the future you guys will be able to interview people in order to get actual evidence?
Well, if people are willing to come forward,
they can?
Yes, we will gladly meet with them.
Okay.
So let me tell you. I mean, 2015 to 2020. Let's use that 5-year period. We used to have council meetings. In fact, the University of the West Indies, where I work, the Institute of International Relations had a big boardroom, and we still have meetings there weekly. So, and we invited people to come in and make presentations and so on there. So everything was done face to face. COVID came along, all of those things were stopped. So from now on, since COVID, everything now, all our meetings are virtual. We don't have a problem with that. And if people are willing to come in and make a contribution, we will welcome them. But again, bear in mind two things. You asked who paying us, we said nobody paying us. We are a voluntary group. And one of the criticisms, in fact, that I got this week, Gary Griffith complains it's Monday and it's Wednesday and all here I say nothing. And I said, hey, look, We are council. We meet once per week. Just so happens that we meet on Wednesday evenings. We would meet on Wednesday evenings. We wouldn't, I ain't going to make no statement on my own behalf and the council have to decide on something. So wait till we meet on Wednesday evening and the story. And we are willing to take complaints and willing to again look at what people would say. And if they are able to meet with us on the Wednesday evening meetings, we'll meet with them.
Dr. Raghunath, would the council consider expanding its reach to not only during election periods, because and also the alleged abduction of Mr. Thomas from Barbados? Would that be considered something for the council to look into?
Well, let's put it like this: again, I would not have a problem with the council being an all-round council, but of course somebody have to sustain them and maintain them, right? Maintain the council. And I'm not saying me, I'm saying maintaining a council, because this is a hard job, you know. Believe it or not, it's a hard job, right? And the point about it is that I will not want to say that we could extend the terms and reference of the council. The founding organizations which developed the council, as well as the political parties which endorse that code, are the ones who are going to have to determine what our limits are and what the boundaries are going to be. So far, they have defined our boundaries as the election campaign period. If they want to say that there's need for a council like this to do work on a regular basis, on a
ongoing
basis, that is for them to say. Okay? But what I could tell you definitely is that the governments, or maybe I said political parties in government, doesn't necessarily like people or somebody else looking over them and telling them they're doing anything wrong, right? So first you have to convince those in political parties that you want to have a council monitoring political issues, like a political ombudsman. In other countries, they have set up political ombudsman. So for instance, in Guyana, I think there's a political ombudsman which would now monitor all of these things political. Okay? So that might be the direction in which you may want to go. But again, that would call for constitutional reform. And none of our political parties in Trinidad, none of them want constitutional reform.
Raghunath, do you expect Gary to sign off on the Council for Responsible Political Behavior anytime soon?
We have decided as a council we'll wait until after the election, because we know telling people now to come and sign, they'll make all the excuses. You know, it's campaigning out on the field, out on the road, and this, that. So we will wait until after the election, and then we will approach those parties which are not signatories to come in and sign the code. But mind you, if they so desire to do it now, we will accommodate them. But that will be on their request.
So you will approach the guy who walked out the meeting and then sign again?
Biden still talk to him.
Oh, all right.
In fact, he has his own television show, and he just called me and do interviews with me on his show.
Okay.
So no problem with that.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Now listen to this. Have the council ever been approached by the government to be funded by the government? And
no, they have never been. In fact, and I will tell you this, I will go so far to tell you this, that in the first year of the council being established, and remember, the council's task was only monitoring the election. In the first year of the council being established, however, the founding organizations were the ones who were negotiating to get us startup money. Okay. I was told at that point in time that the founding organizations had approached the government. I was told. And when they did not get positive results, and because we were really literally looking for money to set up a website and those sorts of things, that's when the Roman Catholic Church, in fact, I shouldn't say the Roman Catholic Church, maybe I should say it correctly, the Archbishop of Port of Spain came forward and said, I will give you all a grant. And as he said that, Sak Maharaj stood up and says, I will, if you are given, I will match. And that's how we got money.
Okay. But if the government approached you guys, will you take money from them?
It will have to be coming from some sort of independent vote. When I say independent vote. So for instance, if you look at, I mean, if it comes through like something like the EBC, for instance, yes, but I don't want to be, I would caution anybody taking money and saying that, you know, you're getting money from the Ministry of Public Administration or the Ministry of Finance, and then next thing you know, you have to be critical of the Minister of Finance, and next year he decided to bust your throat and say, no money for you. That's it. Remember, as our budgetary system currently stands, it's the Minister of Finance who will determine the allocation to any organization at any point in time. And if he decides this year I'll give you, and because of your comments this next year, and knowing me, I have had several run-ins already with the Minister of Finance. I am very wary that the Minister of Finance would be willing to consider giving any money to any organization which I am chairing.
Dr. Ragoonath, in my opinion, it's only a matter of time before one or two things happen. Either your council is strengthened, or it dissipates. Now, what do you think it would take to really strengthen your council at this particular time?
I would think that what would be needed is simply one where, for instance, and this was the point I was making earlier on, when the former chairman of the Elections and Boundaries Commission had made proposals that would have incorporated several of the things that the council now has within its code into EBC regulations, and thereupon allow that to go forward. And if that goes forward, clearly, then there's no need for a council anymore, because you'll have some management system out of the EBC. That being said, that might be a far-fetched thing to consider at this point in time. I think what may become necessary for us to strengthen the council now is that we have to go out there and, in a way, do a sort of mobilization, education drive as to what is expected, what of politicians and so forth, and to literally try to socialize people in a cultural change that this is what is going to happen. Now, to do that, however, we will need significant funding. Because, in fact, at one point in time, I know I had applied for one of these small grants from the US Embassy, But at that point in time, we were still very much so fledgling. I don't think we had a bank account at the time because we didn't have any money. So of course they didn't even consider us. Now I think we will have to probably go that route and try to get. In fact, what we had done. Remember, I had spoken about the Canadian High Commissioner at one point in time. In fact, the Canadian High Commissioner had, at one point in time, attempted to get us to have a meeting with the diplomatic corps of countries with delegations in Trinidad. I think we may very well have to go that route to see whether or not, again, we could get international support that will allow us to now do education drive. Because, for instance, and this is how we started the show this evening. Somebody asked, I was asked point blank, people don't know Holly exists. And in fact, we started off by saying the council started in 2016, and then I had to say no, it started in 2015, but the codes came out in 2014. So that is where we are now, and until now, people ask the question, what's the use at the council? Well, the council is there to educate and advise, and to, in a way, try to bring some sanity to our election campaign. That's all we could do, and we are hoping that as we come out of this election, interestingly enough, we got for the Tobago House of Assembly elections, all the parties to sign on. As we go into this election,
including the PDP signed on too.
Farley Augustine signed on behalf of the
Okay, great.
And we did that on a Rise and Shine Tobago morning show. So the entire Tobago saw that was happening. This was not done in any hideaway room, back room. We did it live on Rise and Shine. I think it's Rise and Shine is the morning show in Tobago. And my intention is, after this election, once the election is done, there are several other political parties. I mean, now that Gary Griffith has gotten a response from us, which I think he's satisfied with. I'm not sure. And there are several other political parties or entities that have indicated an interest. So, for instance, there's this new one called Hope. I don't know if you all have heard about them. Timothy Hamel-Smith, yes. In fact, what's his name? Former mayor of Port of Spain, Louis Singh, has already called me and asked me about, that was the process to go through and sign on to the code and so on. So
he's part of Hope too, right?
Yeah, he's part of Hope too. So once we get beyond the election and we get past August the 15th, we will then probably approach all of these other political entities and have them come in and sign on the code if they so desire. Whether my good friend, and I say friend, whether my good friend will come in and cuss me off again and walk out again, and that's up to him. But again, it's going to be an open invitation.
Last question for me, all right? And do you believe that the NTA will make a difference in the East-West corridor and break into the PNM stronghold on the East-West corridor?
No. Okay, so first things first. I'm not wearing the hat as chairman of the council.
Right. We take off the hat. You're not commenting as the chairman of the organization that we brought you here for. You're now commenting as Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath.
Exactly.
Let me make it clear. Hold up. Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath is now commenting as citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Bishnu Ragoonath.
Right. Yes. So in what and I have to agree with Gary. When Gary came out and said that in the Prime Minister's speech of how much minutes?
47 minutes spent on Gary Griffith. 47
more than 3/4 of the time was spent on Gary Griffith.
Yeah.
that in itself tells us that there's some concern within the PNM that Gary Griffith could have some upsets in the East-West corridor. Now, as to whether those upsets would be significant enough to win an election, to win a seat, even a local government seat, is still unclear. We have not yet seen the NTA mobilized across the country. When I say across the country, across the East-West corridor. Yes, they have done little bits in Diego Martin and so forth, but I have not seen them mobilized in the rest of the East-West corridor. I expect, however, that working with the UNC, and if they get the UNC to, well, not if they get, but rather they are already in an accommodation with the UNC. If they walk with the UNC and the UNC supporters come out and vote in favor of Gary Griffith, of the NTA, where the NTA has candidates, and Gary Griffith himself can whip up some support, that may very well impact upon what the final outcome of the elections will be. Bear in mind two things. One, this is the real challenge for the PNM. In PNM strongholds, voter turnout in local government elections have literally been low. In fact, when I came on, I remember Diana was mentioning that she was seeing, what's her name?
Twiggy.
Saying that there was
Twiggy.
only 100 people in a PNM meeting, less than 100 people. Right? Bear in mind, in Port of Spain South, for instance, or in Lavantel West, when you look at the local government elections, and we talk about between 35 and 40% is the normal turnout in a local government election across the country. But that 35 to 40% is normally raised to that level because of the higher turnout in UNC areas. If you look at Lavantil, Sealots, PNM strongholds, if the turnout is 20%, that's good. So when you're talking about a turnout of 20% in a electoral district, if another party could come in there and just excite 500 people, that's a big number for them, eh? And that's where the PNM has to be concerned in some of those strongholds where people don't normally come out and vote. Because any other party coming in there and exciting 500 people, that could very well mean PNM losing a seat. So that is where I think Dr. Rowley is concerned. The PNM should be concerned that Gary Griffith, and I tell you something, I mean, it's unfortunate. Well, I shouldn't say it's unfortunate. I mean, it's their business. But rather, if, for instance, Gary Griffith and PEP with the UNC had formed an accommodation, I think they would have gotten a significant number of seats in the East-West corridor.
Now with PDP?
Well, I'm not sure how much strength Watson has now, because Watson is, I mean, yes, he has nominated a few candidates, but I don't know whether that is sufficient whether he's counting upon his own people. I mean, Twiggy, for instance, is a strong Watson. Watson's her brother. That's what she says, right? So
which day is that? Which day? Yesterday or today?
Well,
which
probably last week or week before. I think it's Twiggy's PNM, you know. I mean,
it depends on which day it is, you know.
but Twiggy didn't say Watson she brother, so I may get into the brother and sister back and out, right? But I'm not yet sure that Watson has made any significant inroads. I think what happened in Tobago, people are very wary of Watson. In fact, to be honest with you, I think that Philip Alexander has more support. Not with, you know, Philip can fix it or whatever else than Watson at this point in time.
You think Watson is in the political cemetery?
I wouldn't say that. Even in Tobago, he has. I think he has a base in Tobago, particularly so in Tobago East, Roxborough. I don't think he at this point in time he could win a general election in Tobago East, but give him time, and in politics, a day in politics is like a lifetime. So anything could happen. But I think he has lost a lot of credibility in the political arena.
So, Dr. Ragoonath, I think we appreciate you taking this on such short notice. You are no stranger to the indie village, and you are very candid with your discussions, even though you didn't want to tell us that if it was the party in orange that walked out. that walked out to you. You know, but maybe next time you will tell us. Maybe next time.
You have to understand, eh? When you say the party in orange, I have to think, you know, which orange, right? Because, you know, Basse Pande, UNC was orange, eh? Kamla Timothy yellow, right? Good.
Yeah, but we talking about, you sound like a real politician now. You're going back to yesterday instead of today. You know, yesterday is yesterday, today is today. You know that famous comment, yesterday is yesterday, today is today. You know what I mean? You know, but Dr. Ragoonath, it's always a pleasure that you come in and join us on such short notice, and you share, because you have shared so much about your organization tonight and clarified so many different things. You know, I hope people will start to see that, you know, the organization is an independent organization and they're not beholden to any political party. You know, they get an inquiry, they investigate, they see, and they come to a conclusion. And it's not you coming to the conclusion, but it's
the entire council.
It's the entire council. So, any closing words before you go?
Well, all I could say is so on my own behalf, not as chairman of the council, on my own behalf, let me just say that I hope that the political parties behave responsibly as we go into this election. And I am expecting an election. Although some people have suggested that we will have higher than normal turnout, I am not yet seeing it. But I am hoping that the political parties will excite people sufficiently enough to at least try to get back to at least that average 35 to 40%. Because I would tell you, until probably 2 months ago, I was simply thinking, if we get 25% in this local government election, we're lucky. I'm still hoping that we could get to at least the normal turnout in this election and let people determine where they want to go into who will govern them. I would also be very much so interested to see the impact of the third parties in the East-West corridor, including the PDP. But really and truly, I want to see where the NTA is going and where the PEP is going as to how they would be able to manage. Now, beyond that, I know UNC going to win UNC areas, and me have a problem with that. I mean, I don't think anybody will query that will happen. There could be some upsets in that the PNM is going to go out there in a hard measure to try to take at least one more seat in Sangre Grande and one more seat in Siparia to allow them control of those councils. That is always possible. So we'll have to see how that will turn out. We know for a fact, and in fact, I would probably say that I am somewhat sorry for the candidate who is the wife of the diver who died, because the seat that they have put her into in the UNC, that the seat the UNC has put her into in that Cuba Tabakita Paro Corporation is a new seat. But if you know how that seat was voted in the past, they have taken out electoral districts from other areas and put it together. And those electoral districts that they have put together to form that new seat were predominantly PNM supporters. So that was supposed to give the PNM a seat in that Cuba Tabakita Para Regional Corporation. The same thing with the new seat that they created in the Claro Miaro Corporation. That seat could easily go to the PNM. So I have no problem with the PNM winning those 2 extra seats. I would, however, be concerned about whether they'd be able to get back an additional seat in Sangre Grande to take control of that corporation, as well as one in the Siparia Corporation. The one place that remains questionable as to how much emphasis the UNC is going to place on it would be on San Fernando, because I think the UNC is fighting hard for San Fernando, and the PNM is not going to sit down and let them take it. The PNM is going to fight them back hard for it. So we'll wait and see how the election turns.
You know, Dr. Ragoonath, I just thought about something. What about the situation? The situation where the person who is working at the central bank and they wanted to disqualify him as a candidate for the UNC? Do you know anything about that one?
No, they cannot disqualify him as a candidate.
Mm-hmm.
The central bank regulation says that none of their employees are supposed to offer themselves as candidates.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So the fact that he has been nominated as a candidate, that is being challenged. His position in the central bank is being challenged because central bank telling him, well, he had to resign. Now, other organizations will tell you that you only resign if you win, right? The central bank regulation apparently. So, for instance, at the University of the West Indies, if I want to offer myself as a candidate for a party, I could get nominated. What I will do, however, is between nomination day and election day, I will take leave of absence from the university. And then if I win, well, then I resign my position at the university. If I lose, I'll go back to my job the next day. The central bank regulation says, no, you are supposed to resign immediately. And I think the challenge here is, I really don't know the basis for the challenge, but they are challenging that regulation as to whether it is a fair regulation or whether it breaches somebody's constitutional right. So I will wait for the courts to rule on that one. But yes, I know about the case, but I don't know the real background behind the challenge.
So, Dr. Ragoonath, again, we want to say thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks.
Take care. All right.
Good night.
Take care.
You know, but it seems as though in the seats that are contested by many parties, they're giving the PNM an advantage, with all the splinters.
They're giving the PNM a who?
An advantage with all the splinters, because
It seems that way.
But hold that thought. Let's go for a quick station identification. It's in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. Stick and stay. We'll be right back after this short message. It's in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
Back with you. It's in the village with the DAT Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. So Nadia, Victoria, Vonnie Roberts, Albert Montano, Rennie Mohammed, Trinidad Margot, Capiza, Troy Smith. Troy Smith, good evening. I just see you. Vonnie Roberts. Passad, if you're still there, put closing comments in the chat. Yeah, I just feel that organizations like this one is a good organization, but at least they admit they're a toothless bulldog.
And that could give them little staying power.
Are they a toothless bulldog?
That, yeah, if they can't make a difference, if they're just there and they can be pushed around.
What good is that, though?
That's what I'm seeing.
I mean, I don't think it. I mean, the idea is a great, is an excellent idea, but if you was reprimanded before they reprimand again,
that means that no one really care about what you have to say.
You don't really care, write all the letters you want. There's no consequences for your actions.
That's
Yeah, Eugene Julian, good night. Yeah, but I think Dr. Ragoonath put a lot on the I don't understand something, And I'm going to give my closing. I don't understand why more radio stations don't interview people like Dr. Ragoonath in order to get information out to the masses. What am I missing? Is it so much that we PNM UNC that if we figure he's a UNC, we don't want to interview him? And if we figure we don't want to interview him? Is that what it is?
That's all it is.
Really?
It's just a division. That the division that exists make them believe that it's useless trying to make his opinion valid.
So you don't want to get no information from him?
No.
Because he talk against your leader, right?
Yep.
But he could talk against Kamala too. So if you come on a program, you need, if it's a PNM program, you're only supposed to talk pro PNM. Tommy, you make me sad, man.
But it is what it is. I think it's sad for him that he's trying his best, but the landscape that he's working on is very unforgiving.
His problem, you know what it is? He's butting up a set of old, ancient, vintage stalwarts, and who's stuck in their way, and they're not changing, come hell or high water. That's the problem.
Yep. The landscape is very unforgiving. Very.
What?
I said that landscape is very unforgiving.
Very, very. They're stuck. They're like a cult. It's a cult he's up against. They're not. They don't operate like regular thinking people. They operate like a cult. And he got work. That organization have work on their hands. They don't want to hear nothing. They want to hear nothing else.
Oh well. So here's my closing comments. Don't cry over the past. It's gone. Don't stress about the future. It hasn't arrived. Live in the present and make it beautiful. From where I sit, this is it. The clock on the wall. So that's all I like to say, but I've got to go. Remember, hard work beats talent. When talent does not work hard. And for every 60 seconds of anger, you lose 1 minute of happiness. And remember, Your circumstances may determine who you are, but you are responsible for who you become. See you folks. Same WZYE time, same WZYE channel. Go ahead, Diana.
I want to say, I don't want the voters to be jaded by the the promises and the and dangling, and they come in to dangle trinkets in front of your face, the goods and services that you are entitled to because you pay taxes. So you're entitled to these things. You're entitled to your roads being fixed. You're entitled to, if you're living in their housing, it's supposed to be repaired. Don't let them come and say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and dangle it in front of you. And if you don't vote, you are ignoring history and giving away the future of Trinidad and Tobago. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Diana. Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, this one is from Ursula K. Le Guin. It's about love. Love doesn't just sit there like a stone. It has to be made like a bread. Again, love doesn't just sit there like a stone. It has to be made like bread. Again, like I always say, you have to become the change that you want to see. Whether you see it, you look in the mirror, you see the change that you want to become. However, if you look into the mirror and you don't like what you see, don't break the mirror. It's not the mirror's fault. Again, it's been a pleasure being here in the village. Look forward to our next session. Till then, be safe. And as far as your brother is concerned or sister is concerned, anytime you look down on them, make sure you're picking them up.
Tommy, thank you so very kindly. Let me see. Eugene says, another great interview. Good night. Nadia says, bless. Good night, everyone. Tommy, Diana Benskin, be safe. Victoria says, Ansem, you're not waking up. All of them have no interest at all. Ansem, don't stress yourself. Calm yourself. Okay. I think that is it. Okay. That's it. We're going to go out with Karen Asher tonight. So, folks, see you. Same WZYE time, same WZYE channel. Later. We're going out to Karen Asher.
Trinidad, to leave here, boy, you must be mad. This is the land of milk and honey, rum and coke and easy money. While those birds as we were singing, alarm bells kept on ringing. Pundits on each pulpit saying, oh, heart and our soul decaying. Suddenly we wake up to a living nightmare, not least while electorals ask, how did we ever come to this? But so long we hear it, you got to stand up and be counted. But daily we're intimidated. Every day our next witness silence while we recoil from the violence. In our land there is a crisis, broke police, unruly ISIS, while sweet revenge gangs exacting. Police commissioners still acting Trinbago. It's high time we separate the goat from the sheep. Tell them talk is cheap, reporting the world when they have to read. While them police busy playing hide and seek, we're facing the world when we had to read. Hey, oh yeah, save our land, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh yeah, in our schools, kids getting on, we're fighting, making porn. when good men do nothing. No triggers pump while words be frotting, and while church attendance real low. Protest back plus them casino, while black market prices haggling. Through up ports, big guns they smuggling. Spanish women are hot like their music. Saucy salsa, human traffic trend they go. We can't wait. The devil making hay while we sleep. Tell them talk is cheap. We're caught in the world when we have to reap. While we look on them as more mothers who weep. We're caught in the world when we have to reap. Huh. Oh yeah. Oh no. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, Now the nation's soul has been revealed. How they find Shannon Banfield, busy street, yes, in our city, killed by beasts who show no pity. Now there's fear and trepidation. What is happening to our nation? So I pray this one infraction will propel us into action. Trend they go. The time is now. We have to take our country back while these monsters flow. We cannot run from their attack. That is why I'm still saying, time to stand up and be counted. Our young girls, they're being hunted, not for jobs by institutions, but by clubs for prostitution.